So it looks like we might have gotten some accountability. Sorry, there's a question mark in my voice because, well, MSNBC has sidelined Jason Johnson for the time being after his comments about the female staffers and supporters of Bernie Sanders. And I'm not going to lie, this is kind of surprising because, let's be honest, there's never any accountability in the mainstream media. So we'll see what angle they're playing at here and we'll talk about it. Thanks for tuning in. What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mika Says Sukasa. And of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. So, Dr. I use that term loosely, Jason Johnson, MSNBC contributor, what a lot of people like to call a professional wrong person, a man who seems to be quite obsessed with not only Bernie Sanders, but also Nina Turner as well, who is always up for critiquing capitalism, but never actually up for supporting the candidates and the people who do actually want to challenge the systemic issues with capitalism. I call Dr. Jason Johnson a fake smart person. One of those people who believes that because he has a degree that he can just say whatever the hell he wants to, and as long as it's articulate and a lot of people agree with him, that he's actually engaging in intelligent discourse. And that's usually not the case with Jason Johnson or many of the PhDs that they bring onto the mainstream media. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the video, we're going to play it really quick for you just so you can see what we're talking about. Whew. Now, if you're a big fan of Nina, a big fan of Bree, a black woman yourself, a fan of either of the three, or just hate idiocy, brace yourselves, because it ain't pretty.
I do find it fascinating that racist liberal whites seem to love them some Bernie Sanders consistently and always have a problem with any person of color who doesn't want to follow with the orthodoxy of their Lord and Savior Bernie Sanders. The man cares nothing for intersectionality. And I don't care how many people from the island of misfit black girls that you throw out to defend you on a regular basis. Okay. It doesn't mean that your campaign is serious.
Yeah. That's a little bit more than problematic. Now, here's the thing about that whole statement. There is actually some truth there, but in that truth lies a lot of hypocrisy on Jason Johnson's behalf. What do I mean by that? Well, the truth is, and I hate to break this to some people, he is actually somewhat right. There is some racism within the Bernie Sanders movement. Or you could call it implicit racial bias, if you will. There are liberal racists, white liberal racists, within that movement, and they've become more plentiful as he's grown more popular, as to be expected. Now, also, it should be understood that this isn't new. Unfortunately, in progressive movements throughout history, racism has always been an issue. Through movements for progress throughout history, it's almost like you have to kind of conquer the racism first before you can actually move on to the intersectionality part. You can look at what feminism started out as, right? You can look at FDR. You know, he was that New Deal was mostly a New Deal for white people, and he knew that he didn't have to desegregate for people to call him a progressive, because unfortunately, even to the left, black people are often treated as second-class citizens. You look at the way people like Emma Vigeland, for example, have treated Tulsi Gabbard, a Polynesian Pacific Islander Hindu woman who's of Samoan descent, and how she's treated her and insulted her. And yet, with white liberals like Warren, she's been protected, not only by Emma Vigeland and people like Anna Kasparian, but generally by the white progressive or neo-progressive. I don't know if you want to call them the establishment, but there is clearly becoming a progressive establishment. So what he is saying there is actually true. There are a lot of, at least at the very minimum, you don't have to call them racist, but you can say they're pretty unapologetic in their implicit racial biases, and they know that there's not really much that minorities can do about it or say about it, because all they do is they attach their name to the popular movement and their white savior. So what Jason Johnson said there is true. But here's the problem, people. Here's the problem with that. Jason, you also fervently support Elizabeth Warren, whose supporters are arguably more white, liberal, and racist. That's the issue. So if you're going to make that argument about Bernie Sanders supporters, yeah, I mean, I guess there are some that are like that. At the very bare minimum, once again, they at least have implicit racial biases. However, once again, Dr. Johnson, how about we use our common sense here, right? Try and engage in some ideological consistency and recognize that the candidate that you support and have supported really since the beginning actually has a worse problem. And you want to go on to say that Bernie Sanders doesn't, that he has an intersectionality issue. You can, once again, you can actually kind of make that argument. Jason Johnson can't. I could if I wanted to, but you could make that argument if you could articulate it and you understood the inner workings of the campaign, but you don't actually know any of the inner workings. So I doubt it's an argument that Jason Johnson could articulate in good faith. However, once again, you can make that claim based off of some hearsay. We can make that claim about Elizabeth Warren based off of Elizabeth Warren's own personal record. We could talk about the fact that she threw Native Americans under the bus after pretending to be a Native American. We can talk about the fact that she plagiarized a book, I should say, called Pow Wow Chow. Right? Imagine Rachel Dolezal creating a cookbook called Hood Heaven, a guide to soul food in the hood, and she just plagiarized a bunch of what's her name? Martha Stewart recipes. Like that's utterly ridiculous. I mean, hell, she didn't even bring anybody in specifically to address indigenous issues. I mean, you had no problem bringing in somebody for Latin American issues. You had no problem bringing somebody in for black issues. But why? So basically, after she shitted on the indigenous people, for lack of a better word, she didn't even try to reconcile it. She wouldn't even apologize to a Cherokee woman right in front of her face. Warren has a clear intersectionality issue, and yet Jason Johnson refuses to acknowledge this. Even though so I don't understand how, with all the problems that you have with Bernie, which are seemingly are all identity based, not actually policy based. I don't understand how you can sit here and support Warren in the same breath. You are I cannot believe you got a degree from UNC. It's so embarrassing. Now, anyway, let's get to the most important comment, which is Bernie Sanders and his gang of misfit black women. Really? Really, Jason? Do I sense a hint of jealousy in your voice? Because there are some wonderfully strong and intelligent and influential black women who are having more influence over the future of this country than you could have ever hoped to have. I don't give a damn how many degrees you got. I don't give a damn how many times MSNBC features you to do the same dog and pony show you do every single night, after every single debate, after every single election night. Are you mad because there ain't nobody cracking the whip on them like MSNBC and the mainstream media and the corporate sponsors that support them? Like they cracked the whip on you? Oh yeah, you got Candace Owens over there playing the game, doing her little song and dance in the fields with the Republican Party. What? Oh, but because you in the House, you think you got a little bit easier, right? But you mad because you see Nina Turner and Bree Joy Gray and Dr. Smuley and others frolicking in the fields as free women. doing as they please. Are you upset because Nina Turner led our revolution to be one of the most successful organizations in the country after the previous leader didn't do such a good job? She was pulling them out of the hole. And she was able to say, without any repercussions from Bernie or progressives or the left, that she will be endorsing, or that our revolution will be endorsing candidates based off of their progressive record and their progressive intentions, regardless of their political party. And you can never say something like that. You can never in your life say that you would support somebody based off of their policies, regardless of their party. Is that why you're upset? Because you are not your own man, and you are damn sure not your own black man. You're simply another black face that is being used to prop up the white privileged elites of this country, and you will continue to be rewarded breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs, I mean that. Because compared to what they could give you, you will only be able to get what they are allowing you to have, because they will never want you to get any more clout than what you have right now. That's just how it goes. And you know that. I don't have to tell that to you. But Nina's trajectory, Bree Joy Gray's trajectory, is infinite. We have no idea what their potential could be, because they've been in the media side. They've been, and Nina specifically has ran for office and won. Then she helped other people run for office, and many of them won. And if South Carolina goes to Bernie, that will be because of Nina Turner. And you can never, ever understand what that's like. Is that why you're upset, Dr. Johnson? Is that why they're misfits? Yeah, I guess, technically speaking, they are misfits. They don't fit into the box the establishment puts them in. And I got a feeling that upsets you. I get it. I'm a black man too. We carry a lot of anger in our hearts, and a lot of it is for great reason. I get it. I understand why you and people like Van Jones, who's not quite as bad or quite as awful, at least he gives Bernie his props. But I understand what it's like to have a generation of family relying on you to provide after being systemically oppressed for years and years and years. Or generations and generations and generations. I get it. But you don't get to take that anger out on our black women who have been attacked maliciously. They've already been attacked maliciously by the racist white liberals that you admit exist. So you want to join in? Come on. Whatever your disagreements with Bernie, because of whatever anger you have in your heart towards a man that you barely know, which once again is kind of confusing. You have a lot of hate for somebody that you barely know. But whatever your disagreements with Bernie Sanders, you should not, as a black man, start punching up, really, because it is punching up, because Bree and Nina are way above this man. But you shouldn't be punching up at our black women simply because what? Because they're doing something you couldn't hope to achieve? Hell, Nina is, once again, Nina is absolutely amazing. And that's something that we as black men should be celebrating. And it's funny because the other day, while you were punching over at Nina, you know what Nina was talking about in an interview? The fact that the left and the Democratic Party specifically, they always want to talk about how they support black women but completely erase our black men. So even while you are fighting, trying to fight against her, creating an enemy where there isn't one, Nina is still out here fighting for you. Because I, like Nina, understand that, let's be honest, Jason Johnson was benched because black people are disposable, and if white people, I mean, you just had somebody like call Bernie, they basically equated Bernie Sanders to Nazism and his movement to Nazism. All they said, Chris Matthews apologized. That's it. Chris Matthews hasn't been sidelined. Chris Matthews hasn't been benched. And he literally compared somebody to Nazism. And yet, Jason Johnson says what he says and he is benched by MSNBC. So, like I said, like Nina, I understand that, hey, black men do have a very unique struggle in this country, and she spoke up for you and all of us on the left. And yet, this is how you treat her. And the reason she spoke up for you is because exactly what's happening to you right now. So if you're going to get benched, if you're going to get sidelined, because you know you have a smaller rope to walk on as a black man, and you don't get to pull what white men in your position get to pull. I think that's pretty evident by the fact that Chris Matthews is still here. How about you start fighting for the people who are fighting for you? Or at the bare minimum, don't pile on and pretend like because you're a black man it's okay. Because you're not. I mean, because it's not. You're definitely a black man, unfortunately. And it's unfortunate because you would figure that you'd be supporting your sisters on the left, but clearly the money and the clout and the fame is more important to you. But it wouldn't be the first time that we've seen this, right? Now, how long is he going to be benched? So the Daily Beast is reporting, ooh, man. So the Daily Beast is reporting that he's basically benched indefinitely, and the MSNBC will not be bringing, or has not commented. But like I said, it's still pretty telling, even though I don't like Johnson. It's still pretty telling that they were quick, very, very quick, to sideline and bench Jason Johnson. And Chris Matthews literally compared Bernie's movie to Nazism, and he's still here. It says a lot. But it also shows why Jason Johnson should be paying attention to those around him rather than the progressives who are trying to uplift the left. Because you're talking about the white liberals, the racist white liberals that love Bernie, but I guarantee those racist white liberals who benched you but protected Chris Matthews, I guarantee you they're not supporting Bernie. They're probably supporting your choice, or at least one of them, one of the people that you defend. But you over here attacking Bernie's movement. How about you check your house? Make sure your house clean before you come over to this side. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into that live stream segment of Mika Says Su Casa. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. We do have a GoFundMe. The link will be in the description and in the comment section right after this video is concluded. So we're trying to get to California and New York to try and, do some work on the ground, take some preventative measures to prevent election integrity where we can, give some word prior to the elections for the campaign so that they can adjust, very similar to what we were able to do in Iowa, in New Hampshire. We were able to get out the word about the voting machines and then have a couple of people from each of the campaigns go out and watch the ballots as they were being counted in New Hampshire. We were able to get the word out to Bernie's campaign about some misinformation going out. You saw what that resulted in. So we're going out to California, then I'm going out to New York in April. And so we're going to put a GoFundMe up, or there is a GoFundMe up for both those trips so we can continue doing what we have been doing on the ground. So shout out to Taylor Hudak, who is in London right now covering the Assange hearing. She's been getting a lot of information, but the videos are hard for her to post in London, so she's going to be posting a lot of those when she gets back. So looking forward to it. Other than that, people, always remember, find your balance. Peace. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you like that segment of Mika Says Su Casa. Of course, if YouTube is giving you trouble, as it always does, you can download the Rockfin app and follow us there. Also, if you want to continue to help our show grow, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon and donate as little as $1. Really, anything helps. Other than that, always remember, people, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.